Lord be with you. A proclamation from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus said to his disciples, "A rich man had a steward who was reported to him for squandering his property. He summoned him and said, 'What is this I hear about you? Prepare a full account of your stewardship, because you can no longer be my steward.' The steward said to himself, 'What shall I do, now that my master is taking the position of steward away from me? I'm not strong enough to dig, and I'm ashamed to beg. I know what I should do so that when I am removed from the stewardship, they may welcome me into their homes.' He called in his master's debtors one by one. To the first he said, 'How much do you owe my master?' He replied, 100 measures of olive oil. He said to him, 'Here's your promissory note. Sit down and quickly write one for 50. Then to another, the steward said, 'And you, how much do you owe?' He replied, 100 cores of wheat. The steward said to him, 'Here's your promissory note. Write one for 80. And the master commended that dishonest steward for acting prudently. For the children of this world are more prudent in dealing with their own generation than are the children of light. I tell you, make friends for yourself with dishonest wealth, so that when it fails, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. The person who is trustworthy in very small matters is also trustworthy in great ones. And the person who is dishonest in very small matters is also dishonest in great ones. If therefore you're not trustworthy with dishonest wealth, who will trust you with true wealth? If you're not trustworthy in what belongs to another, who will give you what is yours? No servant can serve two masters. He will either hate one and love the other, or he be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon." The Gospel of the Lord.
Good morning, my sisters and brothers. Every year, or every month, since I was ordained, I send an email out to the pastors who are to the celebrants of the masses to see, hey, I'll serve with you and I'll preach with you. And it's going really well, and I really love serving with Father Mike, and I feel like we have this connection going. So much of a connection that when I show up, he says, "What are you doing here?" So he forgets sometimes that I'm even serving with him, but I love serving with him. Father Michael, I always say, is like a Sour Patch Kid. When I first started with him, he had this stern look on his face. And then he speaks, and you can see what a wonderful guy he is, and I love partnering with him. I'm with him for 2 more masses, so I have to behave before he really lets me have it. So, the readings today, as I was looking at this gospel and the readings, I was thinking, you ever wonder how we stretch ourselves for so many things in this world? Our work life, our family life, our schedules. We set alarms to run errands. We juggle calendars. We balance our checkbooks. We put effort into so many things in our lives. But today's reading asks us this harder question. Do we put the same effort into our faith as we do in our finances? In the first reading, Amos doesn't hold back. He calls out those who can't wait for the Sabbath to end so that they can get back to business, rigging scales, cheating customers, shortchanging the poor, and even selling scraps of wheat for profit. And God warns, never will I forget a thing they have done. That's quite sombering. Amos shows us the danger of money itself. It's when money becomes our master, whenever profit matters more than people, whenever faith comes before compassion. When that happens, we fail in our stewardship. Then Paul shifts the focus a little. He reminds us where our energy should go. Prayer. Not just quick prayers for ourselves, but for everyone. For leaders, for neighbors, for strangers, and even those who dislike us. Why? Because God desires that all people to be saved. Christ gave himself for all. Think about that for a moment. Christ didn't give himself only for the holy ones. Christ didn't give himself only for the generous ones. He gave himself for all. The rich, the poor, the faithful, and the wandering. And Paul urges us to stretch our hearts wide, lifting others in prayer and living with dignity and living with peace. And then comes Jesus with the challenge. He tells of this puzzling parable of the dishonest steward. At first it sounds troubling. A man wastes his master's money, then scrambles to make deals. Yet Jesus praises his shrewdness, not his dishonesty, but his urgency. When his future was at stake, he acted decisively. And here's the sting. Jesus says the children of this world are more prudent than the children of light. In other words, people often hustle harder for financial gain than they do for eternal life. We hustle for money. We hustle for comfort. We hustle for security. But do we truly hustle for heaven? And so Jesus tells us, use what you have, even money, to build relationships, to care for others, to serve God. Because money won't last, but love will. Love always sustains us. Wealth will fade, but the kindness we show, the prayers that we lift, the good that we do endures for eternity. So here's the bottom line. Amos warns against greed. Paul calls us to prayer. And Jesus urges us to act with urgency and faithfulness. And Jesus says it plainly. You cannot serve both God and mammon. So how do we live this out? If money guides every choice, what job we take or how we spend our time, even how we treat others, then wealth has become our master. But if prayer, if compassion, and the care for the poor are our choices, then God is our master. And if we are faithful in small things, honesty at work, kindness at home, generosity in our parishes, God will trust us with even greater things. And the truth is, we are all stewards. Family time, resources, even the very breath in our lungs, these are God's greatest gifts entrusted to us. And one day we will give an account of how we used them. So maybe the Lord is asking us today, am I a trustworthy steward? Do I serve God with what I've been given? Or do I serve wealth as if it were my God? My friends, stewardship just isn't about money. It's not just about money in the collection basket. Please, give generously still, but it's not just about that. It's about the way we see everything. How we see our children, how we see our relationships, how we see our jobs, our homes, and faith. Not as possessions to guard, but as treasures to share. That takes effort. Just as we stretch ourselves for work and deadlines or family schedules, we are called to stretch ourselves for God as well, to give not our leftovers, but to give our best. So let us ask ourselves this week, do I give God the first fruits of my prayer or just the leftovers of my time? Do I stretch for comfort or do I stretch out of compassion? Do I trust money for security or do I trust that God's going to provide it? Because in the end, the choice is real and the choice is clear. You cannot serve both God and mammon. So let's stretch our hearts not for wealth, but let's stretch it for truth. Let's choose wisely. Let's always choose God.